Hey, Ryan. Well, there's a couple things that I thought were interesting and timely that I know I've been dealing with, and actually some stuff that you've been showing off in our most recent episode talking about the Ralph loop. It got me thinking, rethinking really about how we can work in a safe environment while allowing some of these agents to run bash commands and just run, some of the things that it now has access to are just a little bit, I don't know, more on the dangerous side, or we should be paying close attention to what's happening, and or trying to containerize that agent or put it in a safe sandboxy type of a place as it's doing its work. So yeah, it's just got the gears turning. And of course, I've got a few projects in the works that also have me searching for solutions. And so I thought I'd just, share a few things. A lot of what I'm doing is in GCP right now. So if you're familiar with Google Cloud platform at all, do you ever use GCP, Ryan, in any of your
Yeah, I
day-to-day
do
stuff?
for personal hosted sites, that kind of stuff for sure.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Well, we've got an account and everything through our community org at Datadog, and been doing a lot of work on there for different projects. One of the things that I just wanted to just sort of point out on this interface, that is where I started off, but then you brought up a good point. It's not the only place that people will start things off, is this Cloud Shell. So the Cloud Shell within GCP just works like any other Cloud Shell on the other providers and hypervisors, where you can just get terminal access into your account, into the services and the infrastructure that they have available to us. So what I had been doing was just clicking on this activate Cloud Shell, and it pulls up a terminal, which then you can get into an IDE. But you pointed out that if you just go to shell.cloud.google, you can get to the same thing. It's actually formatted a little bit different visually. It looks a little nicer. And anyway, just kind of pointing out that those are two different ways to get into your terminal instance within GCP, which is, like I said, where I've been doing a lot of my stuff lately. Now, I've got this app that I've been working on that uses socket.io. Are you familiar with that library at all, Ryan?
I feel like this is something I've deployed to prod and should know a lot more about. Other than that, just protecting sockets, I think is something I had to do in the past.
Okay. Well, so this app that I'm trying to build, I'm trying to use this like real time scenario where you've got like a buzzer type. If you think of like a game where there's two people playing against each other and there's like a buzzer in both of their hands, I wanted to create that sort of situation. And after a little research, it seems like socket.io is a great way to handle that. There's other ways to do it too, but this is the route that I've been playing around with. And so I've built this little app, but it again, as I was building it using some of my agents, I just noticed that there's some other commands that are being run, like simple things like making a directory and then moving in a directory, but the bash commands. And I think lately I've just become hypersensitive to what those things are doing, even on little projects like this. And so what I wanted to do is like take this little project that I'm working on and actually move it over into Cloud Shell and try to just complete the project from over there, build it, deploy it, do everything that you can in GCP. So that's what I set out to do. Now, I one of the other caveats of this project is I haven't put it up into a GitHub repo yet. So I'm not it's all just running locally on my machine just fine, but I don't have something that I can just like, pull it down from a repo and then deploy. So getting it into GCP, getting into my instance in my account is my first step. Now, Ryan, I had sort of explained and showed off a little bit of what my process was before, and you'd pointed out that that wasn't something you were even aware, you could do within. And it makes sense now that I'm in this interface because I don't see that same upload and download option that I did before. So let me pull this up real quick, just so we can take a look at the difference, because I think it's worth pointing out. Over here in the Cloud Shell, this looks very much like VS Code and a lot of other things. You pointed out it's what was the name of it?
OpenVS Code Server
Just
is what it looks like, or Code
okay.
Server, one of the two. Yeah.
Okay. So obviously just a very familiar, sort of interface that we're all used to playing around with these days. But there's a few things missing from this interface when I clicked on the Cloud Shell, and mainly just this option up here, which is really just a way for me to put files in or download files out of my environment, my account within GCP. So that's sort of the main thing that I wanted to show off here. Now, it may be that you can do that over here somewhere. I don't know if Ryan, if that's something you've seen in any of these options, but I don't want to take the time to look through
Yeah.
everything. But let me just point out how it works over here. So let's say I've got this app locally that I want to push up, which I've already done. We're just going to show how to get things started. But you go to upload, and then you make sure it's going into the directory that you want to put it into. I've got this dev directory that I've been throwing all my projects into. And then I want to bring an entire folder, which I know raises some eyebrows. You're like, really? Are you going to like put the whole folder in there? Why not just a zip folder or zip file? I could put the zip file, I could upload the zip file and then extract the zip file on the other end if I'd want to. But it turns out this works just fine too, as long as you're not talking about a lot of files. You'll see here in a moment, I'm including my node modules directory, which is going to be a lot of files. It's 994 files, but Ryan can attest to it. It took probably 60 seconds, maybe or so, to upload all those. It wasn't that big of a deal. So, yeah, it's kind of an interesting way. And I guess, a super fast way, I guess you could say, to get some files into your instance. But otherwise, I think I maybe recommend using the Cloud Shell over here to actually, you know, do all the work and actually vibe code. I'm assuming a lot of the same things in terms of the AI agents you can enable and use all that over here. I think over here on this side, I'll just point out, since I've already used it, one of the nice things within this interface is that you can, of course, open up the AI agent, the Gemini powered agent here over in the left, which is very familiar, works just like any other. You can then pull up any of your files and then make sure that those are, the context that the agent is using. And then it's just like any other agent, you're talking to it, accepting any changes that it wants to make. The other thing that you can do too that I thought was really neat is we can actually come up here and from a couple of different places, but if we can just get into the terminal. Let's see, let's go up in this terminal here. So from we'll go into one of my dev things here and then into the, was it real time buzzer? Yeah. Well, from here, we can also open up Gemini CLI. So it's just a matter of just typing in Gemini and suddenly Gemini CLI is available to you. So from within Cloud Shell, from within GCP, I can now vibe code my heart out using Gemini CLI and stay kind of protected within that environment, and then be able to push those deployments right into GCP. That application that I have running, we were just looking at it after it actually built. And do I still have that up? So this is what it looks like locally, but it's just a way for me to, you know, actually demonstrate things happening on two different clients at the same time. So like you said, if this is a game where there's player four, everybody should be able to see the player four hit the buzzer. So now I can go back and I can deploy this, into GCP pretty easily in a number of ways. Or again, I can start coming in here and playing with Gemini CLI, which has a lot of similarities to Claude Code and Codex and a couple others that we've shown here on the show previously. So yeah, Ryan, those are the main things that I kind of wanted to show off. You got any questions about any of that?
I guess the only one would be, so having played with this before, I know you can like open up a port and preview. Does that work with your app? Like, are we able to host it on the Cloud Shell and look at it the same way you were doing locally? Sorry, I don't want
Yeah.
to push your demo too far.
Yeah, no, in fact, that's a great idea. Let me actually just open up, oops, I keep closing the wrong thing here. Let me open up the editor. And then down here in the terminal. So you're right. We've got this app running. It's in the cloud, but let's just get it, I guess, deployed locally in the cloud so we can kind of see what it looks like. So here down in the terminal, let me just close this assistant because we're not going to need that. npm run dev is going to kick off my application here. Make sure I'm in the right. Yep, right in the right folder. And so what it's doing, the app, is set up to create everything and get it spun up on port 8080. Now from within this interface, if you just come up here to the top and hit web preview and then choose preview on port 8080. Now, of course, if you use a different port, you could use this change port option, but we're on 8080 and that will load up the game as well.
Gotcha.
So now we can have all the same things that we saw over running locally. So yeah, that's a great question, great point. If you've got it sort of running, like I said, locally, but in the cloud, and you want to see it in a preview mode, just come up here and check that out. And then now that that's running, I could clear this, and then I actually don't know off the top of my head. It's a command, kind of a longer command to actually deploy this up using Cloud Build, and
Right.
that would be my next step. So yeah, I'll probably go there after we're done with this call.
That is really cool. I like it. I like how everything's all contained within one interface. So you have access to many different ways of using Gemini models, but at the same time, you get that rapid feedback loop. So if you're changing things or it's changing things, you can see it the browser at the same time. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been actually kind of a pleasant experience, doing stuff over there. I will have to say that it's not all that fast, compared to running locally anyway. We're all used to, whether it's Claude Code or any of them, they run much, much faster locally. So doing this stuff in the cloud, in a cloud shell, of course, is gonna be a little safer, maybe you could say, but, you're gonna have to trade off a little bit of speed there with that. So, things to think about, but probably worth it in certain situations.
Gotcha. Well, thank you very much for sharing. That's awesome. It looks like a really easy way to get started with these models.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Jason. Bye bye.
Bye.